I'm BZM for Human Cyborg Relations. Welcome to Heads in Cloud City with your hosts Blake and Zach. This is a place for galactic citizens that can't get Star Wars out of their head. Tune in every month for a fresh take on the galaxy far, far away. Now, let's get into the show.
All right, man. So I feel like we should start off by telling everybody where our love for Star Wars even started, you know? Like, everybody loves Star Wars, I feel like. Not everybody. Like, I know people that don't.
I mean...
But I feel like everybody has, like, their own Star Wars origin story, you know?
Yeah, or can at least appreciate Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, you have to appreciate it, right? And if you don't, you're being an asshole. Like, let's be real.
At this point.
Appreciate it for what it is. But I would say, I don't know if it's well, when I was a kid, when I was like 9 or so, is when I was introduced to Halo, because that's when it came out, right? And that is like one of the biggest influences in my life because of sci-fi in general. It got me into sci-fi. And I happened to tell my uncle that, and he said, well, have you ever seen Star Wars? No. You know, I'm 9. Like, nobody ever showed it to me. My dad doesn't really like Star Wars that much. So he gave me the VHS tapes, and I remember sitting in the kitchen.
That's awesome.
Yeah, sitting in the kitchen where we had one of those old school TV VCR combos that was real small, and it sat in the corner on the counter for when they were cooking dinner and stuff. I remember sitting there all day, one day, and watching all 3 of them. And like, it wasn't even a great experience. Like, the tracking on the tapes was off, so it was just fuzzy and looked terrible. And I loved it.
Was
anyway.
It the original?
Yeah, it was the original trilogy, completely original cut. Yep,
it was 1977. Oh man,
it was OG cut. Yeah, it was.
Wait, is that the cut where Jabba was actually played by a human and it wasn't a slug yet?
Yeah, but it was still a deleted scene. It wasn't actually in the movie.
Oh, that's what. See, I didn't know that. I knew that I basically just seen a picture of it, but I didn't know if it ever made it to the movie or not. So I've been telling people a lie recently because I thought it was in the movie.
It's in the movie now, but, you know, with CG Jabba. So I think that's where it started for me. Where I really fell in love with it was I wanted to go further with it. And I think the prequels were out at that point. They had to have been. That was like 2001. So at least the first one was out. But I wanted more, so I went to the library. We actually went to the same elementary schools. I went to the library there, and they had all the Legend Star Wars books. And I read, like, The Glove of Darth Vader, like, Heir to the Empire. Actually, that might be one of the books within that series. But anyway, I read, like, all these Legends Expanded Universe things, and then KOTOR came out, and then Jedi Outcast 2 came out, and it was like, it just kept building, and then I got the Legos, and it just kept going. And I just never stopped. Like, I love it. It takes you somewhere just awesome, you know, that nothing else does. Well, Halo kind of does for me, but not in the same way. You know, like, Star Wars is science fantasy. Like, anything can happen in Star Wars. So it just holds like a special place for me. But how about you?
I do remember that they had all those Star Wars books in the library, and I was always interested, but I was never really a big reader. And that was elementary school, was like before. I mean, I knew what Star Wars was. I liked Star Wars, but it was before I really jumped into it. But I do love that memory is kind of like how Halo and Star Wars are connected for you, which I know those two are really big things for you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see.
They're my cornerstones, you know, that formed the rest of my interests throughout my entire life. So they will always be my 2 favorite things because of that.
For me, I don't really, like I said, I don't really have a memory of when it all really started. I already knew what Star Wars was. I mean, I was really young when the prequels started coming out. But the oldest, so I guess I'll go along with like the oldest memory I have of Star Wars being something that I know was more important in my life. And this was actually a really funny story from when I was in middle school. So this was...
Yeah.
2006, 2007-ish maybe.
Yeah, 15 years ago. Continue.
Yeah. But anyways, I remember there was one school dance that it was weird because it was the only school dance that happened during school hours. I don't remember which one it was.
Oh,
but it was
yeah.
kind of like a mandatory thing. And it was once
What
a year,
was
and I
that?
can't remember. I want to say it was the Valentine's Day dance, but I don't remember.
You're right. It was.
But
Yeah.
I think it was held during school hours. You had to go. It was the most obnoxious fucking thing.
Yeah, super obnoxious. God, I hate that.
Yeah, but I remember now it was a great thing one year because I remember just by chance I think it was the science teacher and a couple of my friends. The science teacher had agreed to get the one TV that they like pass around between all classrooms. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of like they have to
On the cart.
Each classroom has to rent their own TV for a minute. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
for sure.
TV. She had set that up in the science lab for us to watch Star Wars. So everybody else in the whole middle school went off to go to this dance. And me, I think it was my friend Ben, my friend John, and I think like a couple other kids hung out in the science lab and watched Star Wars the whole time.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, it's way better than going to the Valentine's dance for sure.
Oh, for sure. But yeah, that was like really when Star Wars. I mean, I can't remember. I just remember because
Just remembered?
that's those same kids that we were playing watching Star Wars. I just remembered I used to play with those guys during recess playing Star Wars.
Playing Star Wars. Yep. 100%.
We were the guys that ran around doing all the jumps and flips and the ones
Yep.
that got in trouble for jumping off the places you weren't supposed to jump off of because we were
Dude.
lightsaber dueling.
Yes. I did the same thing. It was Haley and Cody and Ryan and I. Like that, we did the same thing, man.
Dude, when we first started, we basically were allowed to have sticks for about the first 15 seconds of recess.
Yep. 100%.
Because that's when they noticed they're fighting with sticks. You guys can't have that. And the rest, we just imagined it for the rest of the year.
And that's when you start playing with force powers. You know.
Yep.
But then it's like
And
it goes
everybody
back
had
to
them at an
exactly
unlimited amount.
It goes back to like playing guns when you're a kid, you know, like running around the neighborhood and you're pew pew pew. And it's like, oh, I have a
I
shield.
pushed you. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
I pushed you. No, you didn't.
Yeah, and then you get airsoft guns when you grow up a little bit more, and then that changes the game, you know.
And then you get hurt, and then now it's
You make no mistake about who's hit and when they're hit.
because they're crying.
Yeah, at that age, yeah, usually. Do you have anything else about like where it all started for you before we move on?
I'd say like because we were talking about when we were discussing the making of this podcast that your knowledge is mainly from canon, and mine is a lot about from legends.
For sure, and I
So
think
I guess-
that goes back to something about me is like I'm like a storytelling purist above like anything
Yeah.
else. So like I love
You appreciate other
legends.
stories, but if it's legit,
Yeah, like I absolutely love legends, and I think there's some stories in legends that just ultimately surpass anything that's done in canon. But canon is canon to me. Like if it is really what happened in the timeline, that's what I'm interested in mostly. So that's what my
Right.
perspective is. But yours is a bit different, and I like that. Why don't you tell 'em?
I mean, yeah, you know the story I'm about to tell as to why it's so important to me.
Yep.
Because of the tragedy of Zach the Wise.
Zach the Wise. Darth Zach the Wise.
Well, I think this was right before the time when Disney bought Lucasfilm and made Legends no longer canon. And
Right.
it was just around that time when Star Wars had I'd taken the next step into Star Wars. Because that's what happened, right? Once Disney bought it, a lot of things that were canon were put into Legends. That's when Legends was created.
That is, yeah, when it was like officially created. Because I mean, you can't blame them. I'm
There
not
was
going to
just
tangent
too much
about
universe.
it. Yeah, like, I won't
there was just
change
too
it
much
now,
universe. It's like, where do we start?
but- Yeah, exactly. You can't.
I understand it.
It's impossible to account
Yeah.
for however many hundreds of books and comics and stuff that have been written by all these
You would
different
have to have a
authors.
full time. You'd have to have a full time team dedicated to researching the
Yeah. Well, they do.
black hole that was Star Wars.
That's
But
even
they'd be
the thing.
24 hours a day, like 365 nonstop.
Yep. I mean,
But
oh,
I
man.
mean, like, it hurt because it was massive, but at the same time, it was understandable. I'm not going to get pissed at them for it.
yeah.
Just
It-
a little
it's
hurt.
just unfortunate.
Just a little hurt. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things we grew up with are just no longer true all of a sudden, you know.
Exactly. As well as around that time is when I really, like I said, started diving into Star Wars even more and started learning about what is now considered legend. So, like, I had spent weeks just watching every YouTube video, reading every article I could find. I have, even now, I still am currently reading a now Legends book.
Mm-hmm.
I learned so much of it, and I loved how there was no character without a story,
Yeah.
for one thing.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I don't know, a lot of things just I liked how unique it was. And so I had spent weeks researching everything, and then I believe it was you who broke the bad news to me.
I think it was.
And I was like, we were in an Xbox party, I believe. And I was like, yeah, I'm really getting into it. I've read all this, learned so much. And you're like, none of that matters anymore, right? And I'm like, what? And then you told me the
crush your
news, and I was like,
dreams. I know.
so disappointed.
It was a rough time. It was a rough time for everybody. But I think we've moved past it. They've really proved themselves lately, I would say.
Mandalorian being one thing.
Mandalorian, yeah, all the Disney Plus stuff is excellent so
Yeah.
far. Clone Wars Season 7, incredible.
I have nothing but good things to say about what the future looks like.
Yeah, for sure.
They did have a rocky start, which was to be expected.
It was.
I mean, when you take on a project as big as Star Wars,
it's an impossible task.
yeah.
It's an impossible task. Can't make something that pleases everybody. You know, you got to change it with the times, but can't change it so much that it doesn't feel like Star Wars. And there's just so many things.
I'm not
to
saying they didn't
account
make their
for.
fair share of dumb decisions, but this is what this episode's about.
Yeah, I mean, I think without going too deep into it, I think I'll just say the one hardest lesson learned for them making the sequel trilogy was you've got to have a single through line. You know, like there's got to be a beginning, middle, and end that's planned from the beginning before you even start,
Yeah.
you know, making a trilogy.
If you're
like
still
that.
making major decisions as you're filming them,
Yeah. If you're making
Like-
major modifications and ramifications to Star Wars overall in the cutting room floor in the last 2 weeks before the last movie releases, like
because they
not doing
screwed
it right.
themselves because they announced the release dates already.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They're like every 2
I mean,
years
I-
at Christmas, it's happening no matter what.
And it's like that, they kind of screwed themselves there.
Yeah.
If they would have just not done that, they could have taken the time to really be like, hey, it comes out when it comes out, and we're going to do it right.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of it, because you can tell how rushed it is.
For sure.
But
It's like
here we
they're
go going on another tangent.
yeah, for sure. I mean, they're learning the lessons that the video game industry learned like 10 years ago. You know, it's just in a different form.
You don't fuck with Star Wars.
Well, that, but also don't announce a release date too early
Exactly.
and delay it if it's not going to be up to standards. So
Exactly.
people understand that now. But anyway,
But like I said, and like you said, the future of Star Wars looks clean and
it does.
bright.
Which kind of brings me into the next point a little bit. I think we should lay out
Little
kind of like
segue.
our favorite Star Wars media. I put down here like movie, show, game, just because that's easy and that's what I'll do. But if you have other stuff, obviously feel free to throw that in.
You said Star Wars, our favorite Star Wars media.
Yep. Let's go like one topic at a time, back and forth. I want to say, okay, for movie is tough because I feel like you almost have to like rate them by trilogy. Like you have to have a favorite in each trilogy because they're so different.
Exactly. And so long from each other, so separate from each other.
So separate, yeah. I mean, they're drastically different in terms of storytelling and execution, and like, so it's tough.
And just technology in general.
I would say,
George was always chasing that technology.
yeah, for sure, jumping the shark. Not jumping the shark. That's going on too long. He was too early.
Yeah. He
Anyway.
was ahead.
Yeah, he was a little too far ahead of the curve in some areas, like the Windows 98 desktop background that is Naboo for the final battle in episode 1. But anyway. Movie. When it comes to movie, up until Disney took over, my favorite movie was Empire, 100%. And I think it probably still is. Because Empire is entirely character development, you know? And as somebody that just wants to see these characters develop and wants to see like the story progress in a way that is intriguing, you know, like Empire really does it, because you start out the movie, they blew up the Death Star, everything's fine. Oh crap, Empire's coming back. You have a big invasion scene, you know.
Yeah.
You have like Han and Carbonite. You have all these things like Luke training with Yoda. All these hugely impactful
So much is
moments
happening.
happen in Empire. Even though it ends on a cliffhanger, you know, we get the Vader father reveal. Like, there's so many great things that happen in Empire.
Exactly.
That totally, like, not only are great in Star Wars, are just great in cinema. You know, just some great cinematic moments.
Absolutely.
That's probably my favorite, but if we go a little bit further, if we include the new movies, I really think that Rogue One is almost, it's up there. It's like my number 2,
Rogue One
probably.
is really well done. Really well done.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that nobody was going to survive.
Yeah, for sure.
And I watched it anyway, knowing that this was going to end very tragically.
For sure.
And still, they did really well in making each one of these characters. You grow a connection to these characters. They did really well. That made them very relatable.
In a very short amount of time.
Just exactly, and then to see them be taken away from you at the same time in a very short amount of time, it was just as heartbreaking.
It really was.
Like you said, it's like, boom, we're in the movie, and like 30 minutes later, like, I love all these guys, they're awesome. And then 30 minutes after that, what the
I know. And just like, I mean, the prospect of like a heist movie in Star Wars, it's like, that
so
sounds
good.
awesome, right? But it has to be the right heist, or else it's just gonna kind of fall flat. Like, it really has to have implications, or it's like whatever. So stealing the Death Star plans.
Yeah, I didn't want to say this, but Solo as a reference.
Oh man, I don't even want to talk about it. I think that.
But you get what I was saying, like stealing the Death Star plans, majorly important. What went down in Solo, it was just a heist.
Yeah, it was just a regular old. I mean, the train heist was one of the coolest scenes in that movie.
It was
for
amazing.
Sure. It was really cool.
It was.
But
It was cool, but it was just like, I think they put too much into it being cool.
For sure. And there will come a time where we really dissect Solo and talk about our opinions on that movie.
Exactly.
But it'll be the rest of the episode if we start now. So I gotta.
Yeah.
What's your favorite as far as movies go?
As far as movies go, it's really tough. I don't want to sound like I'm copying you, but when it comes to the original trilogy, I agree with you on almost
Empire.
all your points. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just exactly what you said was so much going on. Everything was every moment was important.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It really was, yeah.
You don't look away in that movie. If you look away, you miss something that's key. That whole movie was fairly important, and it just kept you into the story because you need to know what's going on at all moments.
Exactly. It has such a level of like intrigue, and it's just so interesting to look at. Like, I feel like Ralph McQuarrie did some of his best work for that movie. Like Cloud City,
Like I said, with the cinematics,
and just
beautiful.
just the overall, like, the matte paintings are incredible anyway. They are through that whole trilogy. Like, I will still take matte painting backgrounds over CGI, I feel like, because it just looks so
Right.
good.
I mean, Dagobah, that was an Empire for the first time, right?
It was,
Is that
yep.
when we first see it?
Mm-hmm.
Dagobah was beautiful. Phenomenal.
So well executed. You're like, man, this place
Like,
is
this
terrible.
looks like an alien planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, nobody
But
would
it looks
ever
like
wanna
it's what
be
it's
there.
supposed to look like.
Yeah.
A planet that is, like, incredibly strong in the dark side. You wouldn't expect it to be a nice, pretty place.
It's a very alien, terrible place, and it really feels like it's its own thing. You know, like Star Wars, every planet is like a single biome. It seems like, and it's one of the
Pretty much.
only planets we see that is just a swamp. Like the whole thing is just a horrible swamp.
Horrible. First 5 minutes, he crashes the X-Wing in the swamp. Then R2 gets eaten
In the swamp.
for a moment.
By the swamp monster.
And then this crazy green man starts whacking his R2 unit with his stick. And it's just like, what the fuck is happening?
Feigning insanity, Yoda. That's so good. Yours is so good. Okay. That's a good choice. Do you have anything you want to add to that before we move on to games? Or
Well,
is Empire your choice?
Like you said, we were separating it by trilogy, so I feel like we should go over each trilogy our favorite, because that's only fair, because I can't
I didn't do
choose
prequels.
one singular favorite.
I got to think about.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have to think about prequels actually, but
I mean, I don't have to think about prequels either. I mean, Revenge of the Sith was just amazing.
like, yeah, I mean, the whole movie's a meme now, which makes it even better. I think.
know, but I loved it. I mean, I remember on the 4th of July, right when it was right before it came out or right after it came out, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
One of the two. I remember, it's a weird memory of mine, but for the finale of the fireworks, they played the Revenge of the Sith like main song.
Oh, nice.
And that was like a really cool memory. But I mean, I do love I do actually enjoy all of the prequels. I have my issues with Attack of the Clones, but I still enjoy it.
Okay.
But
I mean,
yeah,
I enjoy it too for
prequel
what it
trilogy,
is.
hands down.
You know.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's
I
the point
mean,
of
the
that
story
one.
that had to be told there, it had to be told.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't what I was interested in.
I will still. So I'm like side noting again, but I will never forgive them for not making a single practical clone trooper suit for that movie. There isn't a single real manufactured human in a suit in that movie as a clone trooper. They are all CGI.
Oh, man.
That's what I mean. Like, he was just way too early and way too into it. Like, go with what worked 20 years
Put an actor
before.
in there.
You know, just make a suit. Just make like two of them. You know, like. All right, sorry. Continue.
But yeah, I get you. Put an actor in there. Just do it.
Yeah, just put a freaking suit on somebody. They did it in the 70s. You know, how many stormtrooper outfits they manufactured? Just make one.
When you zoom out, they don't have to be as detailed.
Sorry, I cut you off again.
No, it's all good. Not a problem. But yeah, definitely Revenge of the Sith should be my favorite in the prequels, even though I highly enjoy Episode 1 and I enjoy Episode 2. So what are your prequels? What is your top prequel?
Top prequel's definitely 3. Yeah, I think it goes 3, 1, 2 for me.
Exactly the same as mine.
1 is almost entirely redeemed by the whole ending sequence with Maul because just I mean, Filoni obviously describes it best, you know, and I'm sure you've seen that video. You may have even sent it to me at some point, but, you know, Duel of the Fates represents the fate of Anakin Skywalker, you know. It's the duel of his two fates culminating in this one battle between Maul, Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan. And
I mean, the story in general, what would happen to Anakin if Qui-Gon had lived.
Oh, man.
He would have been completely different.
Completely different. Yeah. Which is why he had to die. So.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think, I mean, that battle seals the fate for Anakin and it seals the fate of the galaxy. So I think
exactly
just the story implications of that bump it up to the second spot for me. 3 is just a good movie. I mean, it is, but it isn't. You know, like there's definitely some problems with it, but overall, it's so much fun to watch, and the memes
and the cinematics in it
a lot to it. Like the opening sequence with the war drums that turns into the Star Wars
gets
theme.
me instantly into it every single time it comes on. There, dun dun
dun dun
dun dun.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Then camera pans and in the middle of a battle. That's where we need to start. Let's go.
Yeah, over Coruscant of all places.
Exactly.
Which is even more.
That's like the worst. Was that like the worst and longest battle in the Clone Wars, wasn't it? The Battle of Coruscant?
I don't think it was the longest. It was one of the worst. I mean, watching
It was the
Clone
first time
Wars,
Coruscant had been attacked in over 1,000 years.
I was getting ready to say the same thing. Like the terrorist attack during the peace vote in the Senate was the first time it'd been attacked in 1,000 years, and then this was like the biggest or the most recent fleet battle that happened at Coruscant, I believe. Episode 3 starts with that.
Man, episode 3 starts out. It couldn't have started better.
No. Okay, so yeah, three's definitely my pick for prequels. I guess I didn't really do a sequel pick, but it would be episode 7, I think, with a couple moments from 9 that always get me too. Like when all the ships show up at the end, that's like all the hair on my arms standing up, like.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And Lando,
because it was like all was lost, all was absolutely lost, and then not yet.
I love that one. Where did they get an army? Yeah, it's just people.
Billy D.
Billy D. Williams.
Where'd they get the army? Billy D.
Billy D. I love it. I love Billy D. Williams, man.
Isn't that what he says? Not yet, or something like that. As they're talking about how nobody's coming or something.
I think that is, yeah.
All is lost. Not yet.
Not yet. Oh no, it's not Chewie.
I'm glad.
It's Nine Nub, isn't it? Or is it Chewie? I can't remember who's with him. No, Nine Nubs. That's in episode 6. They're flying the Falcon together. I don't think they were together in 9.
Yeah, it had to have been Chewie.
Yeah, I think it was.
Who else would it have been? Was it? Would it? No.
I need to go back
I don't know.
and watch it again. Shoot.
But I do agree with you on episode choice. Force Awakens, I think, is the best from the sequels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was pretty well executed. JJ had a vision. I think he really... I mean, as much as it is just A New Hope again, like, it's still... It's got a lot of good moments in it. Like when Rey pulls the saber past Ben, when it's out of the snow. Yeah. That's one of my favorite scenes in Star Wars ever, where it flips past it and she grabs it.
They make it seem like it's just going to be him, and then she's just like, nah, it's mine.
I'm a Palpatine, motherfucker.
I'm a Palpatine.
Oh, bud. Okay. Did you go through all your movies?
Yeah, because I said I agreed with you that...
on the sequels.
Force Awakens was the best. There's so many things that they set up in Force Awakens that I was excited to see, and that's why it's my favorite, because unfortunately in the next two, they really left some things to be desired on characters that I thought we'd see more from.
I agree.
For sure.
That'll be a whole other episode right there.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. So I've got to give it the sequel. I got to give them the fact that they're not terrible movies. I do enjoy them. But I have to give it episode 1 because that was the one that was the most well thought out and seemed to have plans for a certain direction.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay. All right. So let's move on to games now. Yeah, I said game. I meant show. I think Mandalorian takes it for me. Like, I love Clone Wars.
No contest.
But I think Mando takes it all. Okay, so
I'm with you.
So
Mando
show was
top,
easy.
Clone Wars close second.
Clone Wars is a close second. I'm interested to see how that changes as the new shows come out.
Yeah, I enjoyed Rebels. I never finished it.
Yeah, it doesn't hit
nothing
like Clone
against
Wars.
the show itself. Exactly. You could just tell that there wasn't. I don't want to say not enough as big as a budget.
They changed the art style a little bit, and I feel like it cheapened it. I don't think it looked as good as Clone Wars did.
It looked way too... I don't want to say two-dimensional, but like everybody was wearing
flat.
things that were...
It was very flat.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It was very flat.
And I wonder, Clone Wars is very much a show... I mean, it's a cartoon, so it's aimed at kids, but it's also aimed at adults a lot of the time. Like the politics of
season 3
and the violence, it's definitely a show made for both. Rebels felt a lot less so, and then they went full on for kids with Resistance. It's like it slowly became more of a kids show.
Yes, and I've said that to Shantae all the time. Just like we're watching Clone Wars, I'm like, this show was for kids, and
I know. I look at Paige.
sometimes I don't think it should have been.
Yeah, I was like, that dude just got shot in the head. Like, this is what
That guy
we're
just
showing?
got beheaded,
Right. Yeah. Like, I cannot believe
and just because
the
they kept
level
it
of
in the
violence.
mask.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, this. How did this work? I'm not against it. I think it's awesome, but I'm just like, how is there nobody saying something?
Yeah, because it's lasers, it's laser swords, and it's mostly droids getting absolutely annihilated.
Instant cauterization, so no blood.
Yep. Like, they can get away with a lot.
But yeah, so yeah, no blood. Like I said, mainly violence against droids.
Yep. It's good. I mean, it's just great. Clone Wars is so great. Man.
And it's animated too, so
The animation allows them to get away
animated
with,
things get.
like,
I mean, look what Family Guy does. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
Animation, you get away with a lot on animation, but
for sure.
I'm not comparing the two shows. There's way different.
Yeah, I
with what
mean,
they
they're
get
not
away
at
with.
all. Yeah. But I think that, I mean, in that medium, you can get away with a lot more with those characters because,
Oh yeah.
you know, your threshold for suspending your disbelief is like so much higher. And you can like do things that you could never do on screen, even with CGI, and make it look
Oh, yeah.
believable. Like them leaping, you know, like hundreds of meters and stuff, like just ridiculous
Absolutely.
stuff. But it really plays well.
They're martial arts as well. Like you don't need to hire a trained martial artist to be able to do these moves. You can program it, and they can do some ridiculous, hyper flexible stuff to do something in the air that you don't need to hire somebody else to be able to replicate it.
For sure, yeah, like just unrealistic. But then, I mean, okay, so that being said, that stuff's really cool. But they did do mocap on season 7 for like Ahsoka and Maul's lightsaber fight. And I feel like
I heard about that.
it feels really, really good because
It was
of that.
good.
Like, it feels way more grounded.
Not to say
and-
anything against prior things.
No, not at all. It is what it is, you know. But I do like that
But you can definitely tell, yeah.
they went that route for the final showdown. Okay, so we're aligned on show. I figured we would be aligned there too.
I figured all of this was going to be exactly the same almost.
Yeah, pretty much. But now we're at game. I think we will differ. I think we will differ on game probably a
Yes,
little bit.
except for with our number one. I think our number one will be the same.
It'll probably be the
Others
same.
might be different.
But let's separate it again. Let's go like LucasArts old school Star Wars games before the Disney takeover and then post Disney takeover.
Okay.
Why don't you kick us off with this one?
Number one from before Disney
Yeah.
would have to be OG Battlefront.
OG Battlefront. That's such a great choice.
Or actually, original Battlefront as in the series.
Yeah.
Because it's Battlefront 2.
Mm-hmm.
I thought was amazing. I spent hours on that game.
Oh, yeah.
Ridiculous
Same, dude.
amounts of
Xbox,
time.
PSP. I had it like everywhere I could get it because I just never wanted to stop playing that game.
And it's Battlefront 2 that gave me such a ridiculously probably high expectation for the new Battlefront games.
Yeah, definitely.
And we know what happened with the new Battlefront when it first released.
Yeah, when the first one
People-
first came out, it was
People
not a
like
good thing.
us, yeah. Because I think it was because we were so spoiled by Battlefront 2 from the original series because
Definitely.
it was so freaking good that I think our expectations were just so high.
That's absolutely true. Yeah, it didn't have things like Conquest.
Why is Mace
Galactic
Windu not in it?
Conquest. Yeah, there was far too few heroes. It was.
I was
not
like,
good.
Mace Windu had already been a character in the previous series. Why not just already have him in there?
Yeah. I will say the new Battlefront 2, I like even better than that one. Like, the new Battlefront 2
Oh.
is so good. Now, after all the updates, gotta put that asterisk on there.
Asterisk. But yeah, I'm with you there. When it released, it was the same kind of thing. Like, and then after a while, I think they finally figured it out.
Yeah. They did.
Because right now, it's a game that I could probably play any day,
I agree.
whenever. I'm always down for it.
For sure. It's not my
Ewok
favorite
Hunt.
of the new games, but it is
It's not?
very, very good. Yeah.
Same here. It's in my top 5.
I was going to say KOTOR. I was really wanting to say KOTOR, but it's not KOTOR. It's Jedi Outcast 2.
Jedi Outcast 2. I have not played that.
That is my all-time favorite OG Star Wars game. Kyle Katarn, he was my favorite Jedi for a long, long time. And he's only in those games, of course. Like, he never shows up anywhere. He's in a couple Legends comics, but...
Who knows? With the multitude of series that we have coming out in the future, maybe he will be. We
I'm
might
hopeful.
see his debut.
I am so hopeful because this is the exact time
it's going
period.
to the same era, right?
He was
High
active.
Republic?
Yeah. Or not High Republic. It's like post Return of the Jedi, like while Luke's building the temple and stuff. That's when Kyle
Oh,
Katarn
yeah, so the
is.
direction they're going, like as they're moving forward with like Mandalorian and stuff. Oh, man.
Yep. I think
The Book of Boba Fett, like the stories are all heading in that kind of direction right now.
they
So
are.
yeah, who knows? He might make his debut soon.
Now that we've got Luke, and he picked up
Absolutely.
Grogu, I think we may get to see more of the Jedi Temple being built, the new Jedi Order. And Kyle was a big part of that in Legends. He was one of the recruiters for Luke to find new Jedi, so I think
That's awesome.
But he's also a gray
Who
Jedi,
knows?
and he like actually hates Jedi ideals, but he's just a
Oh,
good
man.
dude. So
Well,
yeah, it's really sarcastic.
I thought I heard that Disney wasn't going to go along with Grey Jedi, or was it George that didn't agree with Grey Jedi?
I don't think he likes the term gray Jedi because it's fan created, but he has like
Yeah.
I think that he just, even though it is gray, it's still kind of a black and white type of view, and I don't think he wants
Yeah.
people to bucket it into a certain thing. It's like Qui-Gon was a gray Jedi. I'm doing air quotes, people
Yeah.
can't see it, and
I
it
saw
was yes, but not really. Like he was a Jedi that didn't necessarily agree with the Council's ideals for what the Jedi should be. So I don't know if that makes him gray because he's not necessarily between the dark side and the light side. He's still on the light side. He's just
Yeah.
not completely devout,
Yeah. Which, because then they would say that would make Obi-Wan have to be gray because he decided to train Anakin anyway because it was Qui-Gon's last wish, even though and Obi-Wan is definitely not gray by any means.
Obi-Wan
He is the perfect
embodies
Jedi.
everything the Jedi should be. Exactly. He is the best. So anyway, recommend that. Highly recommend that. I think it's on Game Pass, maybe.
And what's it called again? Jedi Outcast 2?
Jedi Outcast 2. Actually, I'm sorry.
Is
Jedi.
the first one on there?
It's not. It was only on PC. That never came to console. But you don't need to play it. I've never played it. There's a follow-up called Jedi Knight Jedi Academy, which is technically like the third game.
I played that.
In that one, Kyle
I
is
played a
your
little bit of that.
mentor, but you actually play as him in the second one.
Okay. I think I played the first one because is he the one that teaches you as you and the other trainee are going
Yep.
through the... Yeah, yep. So I have some knowledge of this guy.
Yep. Very over a communicator in a different game as a different character.
Yep.
But he's actually at his best in that game, I think, because he has more dialogue and he's just kind of funny. I don't know. I'm going to send you a YouTube video later of why I love Kyle Katarn. But
Oh, well, sure. I'll watch that for sure.
I got to throw a caveat on it. It's like not really justified. Like he's not that great of a character. It's just I liked him a lot because of the time of my life I was in. He was just another Jedi at that point, It was like Luke Skywalker and this dude. That's all I really did.
Yeah.
So,
And so that's instantly my number 2.
yeah, exactly. By default.
This guy.
Okay, so tell me what your favorite new
So
game
that's
is.
that's Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be the same as yours. I
Yeah.
believe. Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah, it's Jedi Fallen Order.
Absolutely
100%, yeah.
the best Star Wars game I have ever played.
It really is.
Lucasfilm or Disney. I could play that game 1,000 times. I'm currently on like my 6th playthrough. I just bought it again so I could have it on PC because I wanted it.
Yep.
I mean,
That's respectable, man. Like, playing it that many times. I mean, just goes to show how much you love it.
and plus you can do it so different every time.
Can you?
Well, think about it.
Like the path you
can-
take, you mean? Like the order of the way you do things?
It's almost limited by your imagination of what way you want to try and tackle it. Like if you want to level up only the skill tree of your force abilities, you could change your playstyle directly to be like mainly force used. Or if you want to change it up and do mainly just the melee level out, it's like you can play through it in different ways and test yourself with different capabilities, and I just feel like that makes it almost like a new game every time.
That's interesting that you say that, actually, because I didn't think about it that way, but you're right. Like, because I went through once and I maxed out the skill tree and found all the collectibles, right? So in my mind, I'm like, I'm done. Like, I don't need to ever play this again. But the way you talk about it, like, maybe I do. Maybe I want to go back through and focus differently.
Challenge yourself,
during the actual journey. I'm just thinking about it as the destination,
And eventually, yeah, you can level up everything. That's the point.
Yeah.
Eventually, the whole tree will be leveled up. But if you try and focus directly on one skill tree, challenge yourself, dude, it becomes tough. But you also end up starting... Like right now, I'm playing through it, trying to focus mainly on force abilities because I've learned so many things that you can do that I never even thought of, just because so much thought was put into of how you can use the things around you like you're supposed to. That's the force. Use what's around you to aid you.
Yep.
And I didn't think about it that way. I just got really good with lightsaber dueling and just fought my way through everything and didn't really mess around with the force too much.
So what you're saying is you started out as a guardian, but now you're kind of a consular, right? Like you're leaning a little bit more force. Okay. Respect. I like that.
Because you can do some ridiculous stuff. I didn't know that when they shoot rockets at you, you can
catch them and throw them back. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't even have to catch them if you're quick enough. You could just push it back.
That's pretty cool.
I was like, what? And then you could toss the little green exploding nasty things in the Zepho tomb. You can throw those to destroy things. Because there was a couple secrets I never knew how to get to until I thought I could push those. I was like... And I discovered them this time just because I decided to play different. And like I'm saying, dude, you can find things out differently and find new ways to get through fights. And it's made some fights more difficult because I haven't leveled up my saber that much, just my force.
Yeah.
So it makes it tough. I fought the Ninth Sister like 10 times and was almost on the verge of screaming.
She's tough. She is real tough, though.
I did not struggle with her that hard at all. The first time I fought her, I fought her in the first game, I'm not even exaggerating, beat her the first fight, no problem.
So that's pretty good.
Ever since then...
I think it took me 2 or 3.
Ever since then, no. Ever since then, she usually kills me once or twice. I haven't been able to replicate it. Got incredibly lucky the first time. This time has been the hardest because it's the first time I'm running through it on PC, and I'm still not used to tab for dodge. It's a little bit of a stretch for me for some reason, and oh man.
That's kind of a weird button for that. But
ooh, it's making me mad. But there's so many other buttons they use for it that you would... There's basically no other key I can bind it to that wouldn't be just as much of a stretch.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I get mad. Like I'll see it go red, and like before they even jump, try and press tab, end up pressing Q, heal myself, and then just take a hit. Like
that's so frustrating.
It's so hard.
You'll get used to it.
But yeah. But still, yeah, like I said, hands down, I believe, and I know you believe as well, best Star Wars game ever made.
I really think so. I think Respawn just crushed it. Like, they just knocked it out of the park, man. And they're going to continue to knock it out of the park. Yep, there you go. It's a trilogy now, so... As long as they give me Titanfall 3...
But we can have a whole episode on Jedi Fallen Order as well.
Like, yeah, for sure. We will. But give me Titanfall 3 in addition, and then I will be the happiest you can make me. Like that's all I want, man.
Happy guy. I'm a happy
guy.
I could just see you with those 2 games in your hand running down towards your house like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory when he has the ticket.
Yep. We're already at 50 minutes on this show. So instead of going too deep on Bad Batch, why don't we just talk about like what we want to see out of it? And then on our next episode, we're going to touch on kind of where it's already gone as like mid-season. So
yeah,
let's just
throw some stuff out there.
Expectations and what you hope to see maybe. I actually it wasn't really on my radar until I saw this latest trailer and I was like, oh yeah, I'm excited for this. Like, why didn't I realize before that I'm excited for this? But what do you think? What are you excited to see?
I'm excited to see just exactly how they get on the bad side, because in the trailer you see like they start out they're genetically modified clones that have like specific missions because they have such specific abilities.
Right, like super soldiers.
They're at one point on the Empire's side.
Right.
And then eventually you see later on the trailer they've kind of they're being hunted down by the Empire now. So I'm excited to see what caused that. Because this is taking place, is it directly after the Orders?
This
the
is
events
like
of Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, this is a straight up sequel to Clone Wars season 7, like in a lot of ways. But it's not the Clone Wars.
So it's directly after the Order.
They can't call it Clone Wars season 8, but
Exactly. So yeah, it's right after Clone Wars season 7 ends. Now Bad Batch is here. Okay, so yeah. I think the obvious thing would be that they disobey Order 66.
That could be.
That's the obvious thing. I don't think that, but I'm not sure they're going to go with that because I think they know that would be the obvious thing.
I mean, there's kind of a risk in that because they could do it that way, but then from the beginning of the show, they're going to be pretending, until they get caught. They're going to be pretending.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll go that route with the story. I feel like maybe with Order 66, they did get triggered to turn, but maybe because of their mutations or something, when they get sent on their first mission where they have to kill innocent people or something, or ordered to, they just won't. So it could go either way, and at the end of the day, I trust Filoni to do it right. So.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not
it is
really
in very capable hands.
Yeah, I'm
very
not concerned about enjoying it or liking the story, but I am curious as well about like what's going to cause that turn in them to put them on the run.
Exactly. Is that Echo like our Echo?
Yeah, for sure.
I've recently been rewatching through Clone Wars, and you as well.
Yeah.
Because why not when Bad Batch is right around the corner?
For sure.
And I remember Echo dying in an episode in season 3.
Yep. Dying.
And if I remember correctly,
Air quotes
is
again.
he the one that comes? Yeah, he comes back way later, right?
Season 7. Yeah.
Well, yeah, season 7 they brought him back, and for some reason I thought that he didn't survive season 7.
He did.
But I must have.
It was actually the Bad Batch episode, the last one. That was their whole mission, was to rescue Echo from behind enemy lines.
Oh, yeah, I'm remembering now.
But when they get to him, he's like part droid now. So
yeah, and he's all messed up.
Yeah.
I thought he died again there.
Nope, he goes with the Bad Batch because that's the only place he seems to belong. That was how they ended his arc there.
See, this is why I'm rewatching Clone Wars before Bad Batch comes out, so I can be completely caught up and fresh in my mind. Because I thought Echo died again for some reason. Because they said
Honestly,
Echo in the trailer. I'm like,
I feel like Echo could have died, and it wouldn't have made much difference. So I kind of hope that they utilize Echo in a way that justifies him being saved in this show. I feel like they will, or like there wouldn't have been a real reason. Like you go 4 seasons assuming he's dead already. Like why go through the trouble of bringing him back?
I mean, it has to be mainly for. I mean, he's captured for 4 seasons, right? And he's hooked up to a machine. It's got to be his knowledge.
It's got to be his knowledge, right? And maybe that plays into...
He's probably hacked into the database somehow.
Maybe he knows about Order 66 and what it really does. I don't know.
Or what it was for.
I mean, he was part of Rex's squad, right? Wasn't it Rex's squad? Or no, I'm sorry. It was part of like Fives and Heavy and like all of those.
Yeah.
It was that squad.
Everybody we meet season 3.
Yeah. But they all become
Episode
part of the
1,
501st, so they would be under Rex, I believe.
They become ARC troopers, I remember.
Yeah. That's right. Is Echo an ARC trooper?
Echo dies, I believe, in the fight to protect... that's where you think he initially dies.
Yeah, before they become ARC
Before they become ARC troopers, they because you see his helmet roll onto the screen, and they're like, Echo!
Yep.
So you don't really see him die, I think.
Off-screen death
I don't
is
remember.
never a real death.
I just watched it. That's Star Wars, dude. No body, no death.
No body, no death.
That's why people are saying Mace Windu's still alive. That's why everybody says Mace Windu. I said a window.
Mace Windu.
Mace Windu. Mace Windu. That's why I still would love to see that him come back, because it's been done before. Why not? No body, no death.
Yep.
But then people have said you hear his voice in Rise of Skywalker.
Do. Yeah, talking to Rey. But you also hear Ahsoka's voice, and we don't know for sure that Ahsoka's dead. So at that point,
either that or they have both died, but it doesn't say when.
Yeah,
They didn't, so we don't know if Mace died from the fall or if he died way later.
that's true.
And all we know is that he still died a Jedi, relatively.
Yep. It's
But
true.
I've heard many fan theories about him becoming a Sith after. That'd be amazing. But that's the one thing: Mace would never drop to the dark side.
Nah, he wouldn't.
This was like Yoda's right hand man. Like he
For
was
sure.
next to be Grand Master of the Jedi. Like
Yeah, like
he would never fall.
he would for sure be out there like trying to start his own order or something. Like he wouldn't be.
Exactly, and that would be so cool to see. And maybe that's how he died. Maybe he tried to start a resistance of his own and got taken down.
Could be. You never know.
I don't want to be done with that character.
I know.
That character.
I like
it's
him
just
too.
too cool to die like that.
Yeah.
I mean, to die fighting a Dark Lord, cool, but I think he was way too cool for that.
Okay, at this point, maybe this is the last thing we go out on this topic.
Okay.
But talking about Mace, we are running out of opportunities to bring him back. So do you think that, okay, as far as things that are planned, I mean, like we can get him in Ahsoka, we could get him in Rangers of the New Republic, we could get him in any of those Mandalorian era timeline shows. Do you think they would go that route in any of those shows?
I could see it being used in Ahsoka,
I was thinking the same.
mainly because of how things were left with Ahsoka and Mace.
True. I forgot she knows him.
There's a total redemption arc there for them that they could use.
That's true. Oh man, they have got to do that. They've got to do that.
If they were to bring that character back, this would be the moment.
It would be such a great moment too, because then like Ahsoka could reconcile her leaving the council and talking to Mace and like realizing that really was the right decision at the time, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, exactly. Getting an understanding with Mace and understand that Mace never meant it in any personal way.
right.
And get, like I said, there's a redemption there that maybe Mace becomes a member of Fulcrum as well.
Yeah, maybe.
And
Interesting.
they move on together.
Man, I would love that so much.
That would be so good.
It's so good.
Spread the word.
Yeah. Make it happen, Filoni.
Make it happen, Filoni.
Filoni. All right.
Man.
So that was good. I think we should probably wrap
good.
it up. I think that's a pretty good digestible episode for people. They know who we are and why we like Star Wars now. They can tell us if they agree or not.
Yes, they can.
But this has been a good chat, man. This has been good.
Absolutely.
I'm really excited about this. I think, we've got a lot of good stuff coming up here, so people are not going to want to miss out.
we could talk about it.
Talk about what?
We could talk about it for hours.
Oh, just Star Wars?
Anything.
Yeah, I mean,
you say we have a lot of stuff coming up. We have a lot of cool ideas coming up and everything. Yeah, but we could talk Star Wars forever.
literally forever. Like, if we just kept recording from this point, it would be months before we were done. Like, we would, before we got sick of it, even. We wouldn't even be done. So.
We would have to be dragged away from our computers at some point.
Yep. Physically removed.
Our friends are going to be like, come on, leave.
Please, for the love of God, please.
We're only halfway through the prequels. We got to keep going.
We gotta keep going. The people
Only
need
3
their
more
content.
weeks and we'll be done.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Blake and Zach will return soon with more. In the meantime, be sure to follow BXB live on YouTube to keep up with all of our shows. Have a great planetary cycle, and may the Force be with you.